Death is an important concept for future studies. In the end, entropy will defeat us all, even the universe. In this short video, I will be drawing on Nader El-Bizri's account of death as a critical term for future studies. Death is a permanent, terminal phenomenon for all biological organisms, and it is an important event that we witness happening to others and will eventually experience ourselves. And so death is a concept that helps us to think about the future, as El-Bizri notes. Thinking about death impacts our sense of the passage of time, and how this underpins the meanings we associate with history or with civic narratives we articulate around the lives of people. Scientists and philosophers approach death differently, but individuals even more so. When we contemplate the death of ourselves or our loved ones, or even strangers, we do so with different degrees of compassion and understanding of suffering, bereavement, and loss. Death is present in our art, news, media, and culture everywhere. Not just as violence or destruction or loss. The death drive suggests that there are many competing pools between aggression and destructiveness, and the sexual instincts of reproduction, propagation, and survival. Although this is a drastic oversimplification, our attitudes towards mortality naturally change as we grow older. Our experiences with violence and exposure to suffering, both afar and up close, change our attitudes towards death. Our understandings change as we witness ecological collapse leading to the misery of others, and from personal encounters with healthcare or the self-destruction of loved ones. Death has long been represented in religious art and used to make promises of a future, of an afterlife that escapes or ensures further suffering. Death has its own entertainment genre, from the action movie to the horror movie, and the existential confrontation of the undead in the vampire and the zombie. Thinking about death does not require obsession, irrational fears, or dysfunctional anguish, although these are often traits ascribed to those who contemplate mortality. However, as El-Bizri suggests, an authentic living mode includes being attuned to the limited time we have in being alive, and how this affects our pursuits and goals and their realization in the everyday. When faced with conflict and social upheaval, the continuation of being, or thinking about the future, becomes the quest for survival, sheltering, and readiness for self-sacrifice for those we care for. When faced with our own mortality, the experience of being is continually put into question. And Boyer, in her book The Undying, describes her experience of cancer. Although I have no opinion of the strength of my soul, I am a common type of person, which means I must work for a living, so during my illness I continue to write, teach, and speak. In the interstices of my to-do list, I search for death, desperate for this that says I will live. I begin to dream of death and know not to obey the night's instructions. I wake up and I search for my body's mortal exception. Our responses to death, the idea of being and its ending, are important more generally to our future planning, as El-Bizri notes. In circumstances where no affliction, misery, torment, demise in health, or the eruption of violence are implied or experienced, thinking about our life leads to mediating over the meaning of our being as mortals. Such an experiential, existential situation lets the idea of death manifest the finite of our being and of our ontological possibility through the time that passes. Futurologists speculate about the implications of techno-scientific advances that may one day change the nature of humanity and mortality. Questions about genetic research, artificial intelligence, cyberspace, cybernetic machine-body interfaces, the transferring of consciousnesses, robots and androids, and even the transference of matter and energy. Questions about the future of mortality accompany all of these technical innovations. The relationship between death and technology in the future are part of a collective cycle of hope. It is a hope embedded in the novum of science fiction, but grounded in the beauty of scientific knowledge in which death is understood as a physical metamorphosis. Astronomer Carl Sagan framed death as a cosmological event. He says, "From the nitrogen in our DNA to the calcium in our teeth and the iron in our blood, all was made in the interiors of collapsing stars. We are made of star stuff." Sagan also wrote that the cosmos is within us. We are a way for the universe to know itself. So remember, the future is now.